Have you ever wondered how it's possible that an SUV, which was priced high just a year ago, now costs thousands less, despite the product not changing significantly? In 2026, several models that led their segment saw a sharp price reduction, not due to a drop in quality, but because of strategic adjustments by brands, oversupply, and increasingly intense competition. In this video, you will learn about 6 SUVs that dropped their price notably and, most importantly, understand why it happened, what changed in the market, and in which cases this price reduction represents a real buying opportunity, and in which cases it could be a warning sign. 6. Jeep Compass, the SUV that paid the price of its own fame. For years, it was one of the most desired compact SUVs due to its design, brand positioning, and perceived ruggedness. However, in 2026, its market price dropped significantly due to a combination of structural factors. The main one was the arrival of Asian competitors offering more standard equipment for the same price, forcing Jeep to apply aggressive discounts to maintain sales volume. The competitive pressure didn't come from just one front. Brands like BYD, Haval, Chery, and MG launched compact SUVs with larger screens, more comprehensive driving assistance systems, extended warranties, and interior finishes that rival higher segments. All of this at prices that in many cases were below the Compass even without considering discounts. This new reality forced Jeep to rethink its pricing strategy in record time. The problem worsened because, despite its premium product image within the segment, the Compass failed to renew its technological offering at the pace the market demanded. The last significant update to its platform had occurred years ago, and although it received cosmetic improvements and equipment adjustments, its architecture remained essentially the same. This doesn't necessarily represent a mechanical disadvantage, but it does create a perception of stagnation compared to rivals that came with more modern solutions in suspension, soundproofing, and energy efficiency. Additionally, the Compass relies on platforms and engines that no longer represent a technological advantage over more modern competitors. The small displacement turbo engines, once considered advanced, are now seen as standard for the segment, offering no clear differentiation in fuel consumption or performance. The automatic transmissions, while functional, don't offer the smoothness or response time of newer dual-clutch systems, and the all-wheel drive, one of Jeep's historic selling points, doesn't show measurable technical superiority over the AWD systems of better-equipped competitors. The connectivity equipment also lagged behind. While new competitors offered 12 or 14-inch screens with agile operating systems, native smartphone integration, and over-the-air updates, the Compass still had a functional but clearly outdated infotainment system. For a buyer who prioritizes interior technology, this difference is decisive. This doesn't make it a bad product, but it does make it less attractive in terms of price-performance ratio. The construction is still solid, the interior materials remain above the average of the economic segment, and the driving position is comfortable and elevated. The problem isn't what the Compass does wrong, but what it stopped doing better than its rivals. In a market where every detail counts, falling a half step behind in technology, efficiency, or equipment directly translates to a loss of commercial value. The result is accelerated depreciation in the used market, where low-mileage units can be found at prices significantly lower than their original launch price. A Compass with 1 year of use and fewer than 15,000 kilometers can be found with discounts of up to 20% off the original list price, and in some markets that figure reaches 25%. This drop doesn't reflect structural mechanical problems, but rather a market correction due to the initial overvaluation and the pressure from more competitive alternatives. For the rational buyer, the 2026 Compass becomes interesting if design, ride comfort, and brand presence are prioritized, accepting that its powertrain is not the most efficient in its segment. It's a vehicle that still offers a worthy driving experience with good visibility, intuitive controls, and a sense of solidity that reassures on long trips. The cabin ergonomics are well solved, the seats are comfortable even on long journeys, and the rear passenger space is reasonable within its category. It's a valid option for those looking for a traditional SUV image at clearance prices. The exterior design remains recognizable and attractive, with a distinctive personality that sets it apart from more anonymous options. For certain buyer profiles, that visual identity and the Jeep brand heritage justify the purchase, especially when the adjusted price eliminates the premium once paid for the logo. If acquired with a significant discount and with clarity about its technical limitations compared to newer rivals, the Compass can be a sensible purchase for urban use and weekend getaways. 5. Chevrolet Captiva, the SUV that dropped due to oversupply. The Captiva returned to the market as an affordable SUV with a family-focused approach. In 2026, its price dropped significantly due to a simple phenomenon: oversupply against weaker-than-expected demand. The entry of new Chinese and Indian models into the affordable SUV segment pressured Chevrolet's margins, forcing continuous promotions. The return of the Captiva was based on a volume strategy. Chevrolet bet on an aggressive pricing position from launch, trusting that brand reputation and its established dealership network would be enough to capture market share. However, the timing was tricky. Just as the Captiva was relaunched, brands like Changan, Geely and Mahindra accelerated their expansion with products offering similar proposals, but with longer warranties, better digital equipment, and bolder exterior designs that captured the attention of a younger audience. The saturation of the segment became evident quickly. Every month, new competitors appeared with subsidized financing offers, immediate delivery bonuses, and free maintenance packages that eroded Chevrolet's initial advantage. The brand was forced to match these commercial conditions, which reduced its margins and created a vicious circle. More discounts to sustain sales, lower perceived residual value, and more price pressure in the used car market. From a technical standpoint, the Captiva doesn't present serious structural flaws, but its mechanical proposal is conservative and its equipment is basic compared to more aggressive competitors in price. The engine is naturally aspirated, which in terms of reliability can be an advantage, but in terms of efficiency and dynamic response, it lags behind similarly sized turbo options. Fuel consumption in the city is noticeably higher than rivals with more modern powertrains, and on the highway, while it stabilizes, it doesn't offer competitive numbers. The automatic transmission serves its purpose without surprises, but the shifts are noticeable and sometimes slow, especially during overtaking maneuvers or on steep inclines. It's not a serious defect, but it is a characteristic that users notice when compared directly to dual-clutch or better-calibrated CVT transmissions. The suspension aims for a balance between comfort and control, achieving an acceptable result for urban use, but showing a lack of refinement on rough roads, where vibrations are transmitted to the cabin more than desirable. The interior equipment is functional but austere. A moderately sized touchscreen, basic connectivity, manual air conditioning in entry-level versions, and automatic air conditioning in the more equipped models, along with analog instrumentation with a small central digital display. Everything serves its purpose, but it doesn't generate a sense of novelty or differentiation. The materials are mostly hard plastics, with some textured details in visible areas but lacking the level of finish offered by direct competitors. For a buyer who prioritizes functionality over sophistication, this isn't an issue. For someone looking for a sense of perceived quality, it could be disappointing. This directly impacts depreciation. The Captiva loses value faster than the average in its segment because the market punishes the lack of differentiation. In a context where supply far exceeds demand, used car buyers have multiple alternatives and tend to lean towards models with better technological reputations or more equipment. This leaves the Captiva in a vulnerable position, where only a significantly lower price justifies its choice over rivals of similar age. For a buyer who prioritizes interior space, low maintenance costs, and parts availability, the Captiva can be a rational purchase if bought at a discount. The cabin is genuinely spacious, with good capacity for 5 adult passengers and a generous trunk size that makes it suitable for family use. The rear seats are flat, which favors the installation of child seats and allows for 3 passengers to sit comfortably without excessive discomfort. Operating costs are predictable. Chevrolet's service network is well distributed, parts are competitively priced, and the relatively simple mechanics reduce the likelihood of complex breakdowns. For a user planning to keep the vehicle for several years and prioritizing predictability and expenses over dynamic performance, the Captiva offers a coherent proposal. It's not an aspirational SUV, but it's functional for urban family use, especially if the purchase price correctly reflects its real market positioning. 4. Nissan X-Trail, technology that arrived too late. This generation of the X-Trail incorporated interesting technologies, including electrified variants. However, its initial price positioning was high relative to the market perception. In 2026, the combination of lower demand and high competition in the mid-size SUV segment forced an abrupt price correction. Nissan's strategy with the X-Trail was ambitious. The brand decided to make a strong push for electrification by launching e-power versions that combine an electric drive motor with a combustion engine generator, eliminating the need for external charging but maintaining the efficiency of a hybrid system. Technically, the proposal is solid and offers real advantages in urban fuel consumption and smoothness. The problem was the price. The differential compared to conventional versions from direct competitors was hard to justify for a market still evaluating the cost-benefit of hybrid technologies. Additionally, the launch coincided with a period of uncertainty regarding fiscal incentives for electrified vehicles in several markets. Some potential buyers chose to wait, others opted for plug-in hybrids with greater electric range, and a third group simply chose more economical conventional alternatives. This fragmentation of demand left the X-Trail in an uncomfortable position. Too expensive to compete with traditional SUVs, not electrified enough to attract early adopters of clean technologies. The problem wasn't the product itself, but the timing. Many buyers migrated to more modern options in infotainment, driving assistance, and energy efficiency. The X-Trail's multimedia system, though updated, didn't reach the level of integration and fluidity offered by Korean or German rivals. The touch response was less immediate, the graphical interface less intuitive, and integration with personal digital ecosystems, Apple, Google, Amazon, was functional but not seamless. For buyers who prioritize digital experience, these details make a difference. The driving assistance systems are present but weren't fully convincing. The adaptive cruise control works well on highways but can be jerky in heavy traffic, with braking and acceleration less progressive than more refined systems. The lane keeping assist performs its alert function, but its active intervention is timid compared to more developed systems. These aren't major deficiencies, but they are aspects that the discerning buyer notices in direct comparison. This pushed the X-Trail into a discount zone to maintain its market presence. Nissan faced a dilemma: either keep the prices and lose volume, risking its positioning in dealerships and mind share among consumers, or adjust the prices to sustain sales flow. It chose the latter, applying progressive discounts that, while reactivating interest, also sent a negative signal to the used car market. The first buyers, who had paid full price, saw the resale value of their units drop faster than expected, generating frustration and reinforcing the perception that the initial price had been excessive. Competition in the mid-size SUV segment intensified at the worst possible time for the X-Trail. Models like the Mazda CX-5, the updated Volkswagen Tiguan, the Hyundai Tucson, and the Kia Sportage arrived with very complete offerings, distinctive designs, and established reputations, making Nissan's task more difficult. In a context where all competitors offer similar levels of technology, comfort, and equipment, price becomes a decisive factor, and the X-Trail arrived too late with the necessary correction. For users seeking a comfortable SUV for long trips with good sound insulation and stability on the road, the X-Trail, when priced right, becomes an opportunity. Ride comfort is one of its strong points. The suspension handles road imperfections well, the cabin is well insulated from external noise, and the driving position favors visibility and reduces fatigue on long journeys. The front seats are ergonomic and offer good lumbar support, a feature appreciated on long trips. The interior space is generous. 3 adults can comfortably travel in the second row, and the trunk provides enough capacity for family luggage without compromising passenger space. Practicality details are well solved: multiple storage compartments, USB ports in both rows, intuitive controls, and easy access to main functions. For families who prioritize versatility and comfort over sportiness or technological image, the X-Trail meets expectations. The price drop doesn't reflect poor structural quality, but rather a mismatch between market expectations and the real offering. The X-Trail is a well-built vehicle with expected reliability levels from Nissan and reasonable maintenance costs. If purchased with the discount it now offers in the market, it represents a sensible alternative for those seeking a family SUV without sporty pretensions, prioritizing comfort, space, and operational predictability over technological innovation or brand status. 3. Volkswagen Taos, the punishment for the launch price. The Taos arrived with an ambitious positioning strategy, trying to compete with higher-end SUVs. In 2026, that strategy backfired. The perception of an inflated price compared to better-equipped rivals accelerated depreciation. Volkswagen positioned the Taos as a premium SUV within the compact segment, with a price that in many markets even exceeded that of higher-segment competitors with basic engines. The bet was that the reputation for German quality, the perception of solid construction, and the prestige of the brand would justify this price premium. During the first few months, it worked. Buyers looking for differentiation and willing to pay for the Volkswagen logo supported the initial sales. However, direct comparisons in dealerships began to erode that advantage. A well-equipped Taos cost as much or more than an entry-level Tiguan in some markets, which created confusion for buyers. Why choose the smaller model if, for a similar price, they could access the larger sibling with more space and a better resale reputation? This internal cannibalization was one of the first signs that the positioning was unsustainable. At the same time, direct competitors such as the Seat Ateca, Skoda Karoq, both from the same Volkswagen group but with more aggressive prices, the Mazda CX-30 and the Peugeot 2008 offered comparable or superior equipment, technology and design at consistently lower prices. Volkswagen's advantage in perceived quality was no longer as decisive as it had been in the past. Rival brands had substantially improved in construction, materials and reliability, reducing the gap to make it almost imperceptible to the average buyer. Mechanically, the Taos remains a solid product, good platform, stable handling on the road and reasonable fuel consumption. The MQB platform it uses is shared with several models in the Volkswagen Group, ensuring predictable and balanced dynamic performance. The chassis is rigid, the steering precise without being excessively sporty, and the balance between comfort and control is well calibrated for mixed urban road use. In terms of pure engineering, the Taos has no significant defects. The low-displacement turbo engine offers adequate response in the city and sufficiency on the road with fuel consumption, while not the lowest in the segment, remaining within reasonable parameters for an SUV of its size and weight. The dual-clutch DSG automatic transmission is one of its strengths: quick shifts, smooth in comfort mode, and immediate response when acceleration is demanded. It's a mature and reliable mechanical combination, without negative surprises but also lacking distinguishing elements compared to technically equivalent rivals. The problem was commercial. As prices were lowered to sustain sales, the resale value adjusted accordingly. Volkswagen was forced to offer promotions, bonuses, and subsidized financing conditions to maintain inventory turnover in dealerships. Each wave of discounts sent a clear signal to the used car market. The initial value was overstated. Buyers of new units with discounts naturally expected to pay less in the used market, and those who had bought at full price months earlier saw the value of their vehicles drop faster than anticipated. This dynamic fed back negatively. The accelerated depreciation reinforced the perception that the Taos didn't justify its original premium price, which in turn weakened Volkswagen's negotiating position and forced further price adjustments. In less than 2 years, the Taos went from being seen as an aspirational SUV to being considered a properly positioned product only when acquired at a significant discount. This makes the Taos an interesting purchase in the used car market. It offers access to a well-built SUV with high safety standards at a price that no longer reflects its original positioning. The driving assistance systems are present and well calibrated, the body structure meets rigorous passive protection standards, and the interior materials, although not premium, are of higher quality than the average in the affordable compact SUV segment. The cabin is well designed in terms of ergonomics and functionality. The controls fall naturally to hand, the touchscreen responds smoothly, and digital system integration is seamless. The interior space is reasonable for its category, with enough room for 4 adults on long trips and acceptable trunk capacity. It may not be the most spacious in the segment, but the efficiency in the use of available space is notable. It's an opportunity for those looking for chassis quality and general comfort without paying a brand markup. If the adjusted price in the used market removes the premium that was once paid for the Volkswagen logo, the Taos becomes a rational option. An SUV with good driving dynamics, careful interior finish, expected reliability, and predictable maintenance costs within the official network. For a buyer who values these aspects over image or cutting-edge technology, the discounted Taos represents a sensible and defensible purchase. 2. Ford Territory, high equipment, brand in transition. The Ford Territory is a clear example of how product strategy impacts market value. In 2026, the brand restructured its SUV offering in several markets, creating uncertainty about the continuity of certain models. This perception directly affected the residual value of the Territory. Ford's global strategy underwent profound changes. The decision to prioritize electric vehicles and pickups in some markets while rationalizing its portfolio of conventional SUVs in others sent mixed signals to consumers. In certain countries, Ford announced the discontinuation of sedan and compact SUV models to focus on more profitable segments, while in other markets, it kept those products but with less frequent updates. This lack of strategic clarity created uncertainty about the future of the Territory. Buyers began to question the model's continuity, the availability of updates, and long-term parts support. Although these concerns aren't always based on concrete facts, they influence the perception of residual value. In the automotive market, certainty about product continuity and after-sales support is a relevant factor, especially for more conservative buyers. The vehicle offers a good level of equipment, spacious interior, and a comfortable driving experience. However, the perception of it being a transition model between generations accelerated its depreciation. Initially, the Territory came with a competitive offering, a large central screen, full connectivity, automatic climate control, a good set of driving assistance features, and materials appropriate for the segment. The interior features a functional design and a sense of spaciousness. The rear seats stand out for legroom and headroom, while the trunk is spacious with regular shapes. In driving, the turbo engine provides sufficient response for overtaking, and the automatic transmission operates smoothly. The suspension prioritizes comfort without compromising stability in daily use. Still, the strategic uncertainty weighed more than the product's qualities. In the used car market, it experienced depreciation higher than the segment average, despite no significant reports of structural failures or reliability issues. The value drop is mainly attributed to the perceived risk by buyers. For a pragmatic approach, the Territory is attractive if purchased at a discount. It offers a good size-to-price ratio, maintenance costs aligned with the segment, and a service network that, despite adjustments in some markets, still provides sufficient coverage. In daily use, it consistently performs well in fuel consumption, comfort, and family versatility. 1. Toyota Corolla Cross, the SUV that dropped in price without losing its logic. The Corolla Cross is at the center of one of the most striking price moves of 2026. The reduction is not due to a decline in quality or product issues, but rather strategic adjustments by Toyota in response to the pressure from Chinese origin SUVs and the growing availability of electrified models at more aggressive prices. The market changed, and the brand chose to protect volume and maintain its presence in the segment. The entry of new competitors with high levels of equipment forced a reassessment of positioning. Large screens, advanced driving assistance, and more standard technology raised consumer expectations. Toyota chose to reduce prices to remain competitive without altering the model's technical base. Despite the price adjustment, the Corolla Cross retains its main virtues: structural reliability, predictable maintenance costs, and low fuel consumption, especially in the hybrid version. The brand's philosophy prioritizes durability and operational simplicity over complex solutions. The hybrid system, based on proven technology, provides a stable, low-risk technical experience. In urban use, the real consumption of the hybrid is usually below 5 liters per 100 kilometers, which reduces monthly costs and brake system wear thanks to regeneration. On the highway, the advantage decreases, but the consumption remains competitive within the segment. For mixed use, the accumulated savings can offset the price difference compared to the conventional version within a few years. The price drop is not associated with recurring faults or documented reliability issues. This makes the 2026 Corolla Cross a rational option from a total cost of ownership perspective. Lower entry price, controlled operating expenses, and a good probability of medium-term resale value. The brand's reputation continues to positively influence residual value. It may not be the most innovative SUV or the most eye-catching in design, but it offers a balanced proposal. The materials and technology prioritize durability and operational stability. For those looking to minimize financial risk and prioritize cost predictability, the 2026 Corolla Cross stands as one of the most defensible purchases within the compact SUV segment. Not all price drops mean the same thing. In some cases, they are normal commercial adjustments. In others, they reflect that the model has lost appeal due to stronger competition. The difference lies in understanding the real reason behind each reduction before making a purchasing decision. If this analysis helped you better evaluate the market and avoid impulsive decisions, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share in the comments which of these SUVs you consider a real opportunity in 2026 and which one you would prefer to avoid.